Welcome, Mark. So, Mark Espinosa, you are the training delivery specialist for BICSI, and we're going to talk about the training program. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice to be here. Very nice to meet you for the first time. I heard a lot about Low Voltage Nation and everything you all are doing for the community, and we support it. It sounds like our goals, BICSI and Low Voltage Nation, have goals that are similar. So it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yeah. Were you at the BICSI conference recently, the one in Orlando?
I was not. No, unfortunately, the training delivery specialist team doesn't usually get to go to those conferences. We're usually busy in class those weeks.
Yeah, gotcha. So tell me about yourself. I know that you've been with BICSI for almost 4 years now. Just like tell me like a story about you and like how you ended up at BICSI.
I'm originally from New York City, born and raised there. I moved to Florida in 1994. I currently live in Cape Coral, Florida, which is 2 hours south of Tampa, Florida. And for those who don't know, BICSI is headquartered out of Tampa, Florida. I, as a BICSI training delivery specialist, I facilitate the 4 installation classes that we offer, and 2 of our design courses are DD 102 distribution design and OSP 102 outside plant design. I also co-facilitate our train the trainer program with Christopher Hobbs, who's our manager of provider services. I've been in the information technology, or what we call the ICT industry, since 1998. I got into the industry without any previous experience or knowledge. It was just a friend of a friend who recommended me to this one company, and I was fortunate to have that opportunity to work with them.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. It's like you just kind of happen into it. You may have gone to school for something else, and then all of a sudden, like, hey, I'm here. I'm in ICT now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was great. It was very interesting. Being around different technologies and working in different areas was extremely interesting, to me. It was something that I was not used to doing. So I gravitated towards it, and I made sure that it was going to be something that I dedicated myself to do. It was a great opportunity, and I realized that.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So with like on the job training and formal training, so obviously you've experienced both. So talk to me about like what's helped you in your career. Like what's like, is it 50-50? Like what kind of advice can you give people?
So probably like many other people in the industry. So, I didn't get to mention, I have been an installer, I have been a technician, I have been a project manager. So I was on the operations side of things. I've also been on the engineering and sales side of things. So I've had a really good look at the industry as a whole, and I've held many different positions, throughout my career. So most of my training was done on the job. Somebody who is more experienced than me has always just showed me the ropes. But the downside to that sometimes, and it's probably just because of the speed in which we have to work, is that I don't usually get that formal knowledge, or the where the information comes from, the source of information. So to me, formal knowledge or formal training provides those guidelines, those requirements, those minimum standards on how ICT systems should be designed and installed. It also, like I said, provides the sources of that information, which is important. So if I ever need to reference that or look it up, I know where to find that, or I know of those different resources. Whereas we mentioned, with on-the-job training, that just allows me to apply things that somebody has shown me, their instruction or whatnot. And we do that in real life scenarios. So that's where it really makes a difference, right? To be able to practice that in real world. But sometimes you need those references to go back to. In the field, those resources were my coworkers or manufacturers or online videos or other technical documents like BICSI manuals. So, I'd say with on-the-job training, I get the repetition that allows me to build the skill. And with formal training, I get the know-how, or the know-how to find out how to do something.
Yeah, with on-the-job training, it's like Bill, has been doing it for 40 years. Maybe that's not the right way to do it. And that's how you learn how to do it. But with like BICSI, the community and everything, and like even YouTube, that's the number one place that our group at Low Voltage Nation said they got their formal education is from YouTube. But
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's just so many resources out there. Like on the job training is good, like you said, for the repetition, but it might not be the right way to do it. So you have to supplement it with more formal training for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes formal training fills in those gaps. So, if some people are lucky enough to take that formal training before they do the on the job, well, then they have an idea of what they're about to do, and then they learn how to do it and get to practice it. But sometimes it's in reverse, like it happened to me. I had on the job training first, and then I had some of that formal training afterwards. I first took a BICSI class in 2011. That's when I first got one of my certifications with them. And that was after being in the industry already for about 10 years.
Yeah. So BICSI has a new installation cabling program. I guess it's called the Installation 8 is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep,
so,
it's our 8th revision.
Yeah. So eighth revision. So tell me like what's new, or like just tell me a brief rundown of what the program is and what's new and coming.
All right, so let me start with how we create different programs or different classes, because it's important, especially for installation. What I like to tell students is that our installation program is made by technicians for technicians, and it truly is done that way. When we develop our programs, we start with a job task analysis, or what we call a JTA. The job task analysis is just that. We analyze the tasks that are required for each job. The JTA is developed from individuals like technicians and project managers from around the world who are actively in the ICT field. They contribute that direct input into what installers are doing at each level. So for example, an installer 1 may be familiar with fiber, but may not yet be terminating fiber. So that's a task that job doesn't necessarily require just yet. So that's how we determine what different knowledge and skills are taught in our different classes.
So how often do you guys revise these programs to keep up with like all the change? I mean, everything's changing so quickly, especially like you said, on fiber optic is a huge thing. So how often do you guys revise these programs?
Yeah, absolutely. We revise it every 3 to 5 years. So that's when we start to take a look at our program. We start to determine what information is up to date, what's still relevant, what people are using. And if they're still using it, we continue to use it in our programs. If not, we change it up. Another important thing about those contributors from the JTA is that not only are they installers or technician from North America, but they're international. By inviting these international contributors to the JTA, it helps ensure that we include global installation practices that are different than what we perform here in North America. So it's important. We try to get a very well-rounded program.
Yeah. So like on the installer side, there's 4 different classes. Like how are each class different? Like what's the different certification? Like kind of describe what the difference is.
Okay. So before the differences, let me just say what are some of the commonalities. So the commonalities are the classes are going to follow the JTA that I was talking about, and also the newly released 8th edition Information Technology System Installation Methods Manual. And I know that's a mouthful. We usually just call that the ITSM.
ITSM, yeah, I heard that.
Yep. So that one manual is what all 4 of the classes utilize. So that's a great benefit, a great reference to use for all of those classes and after you've taken the classes as well. Our program is much like an apprenticeship program where each class is a building block of knowledge and skills to get to the next level. As you mentioned, there's 4 total classes. We have our IN 101, which is our installer 1, our IN 225, which is an installer 2 with a focus on copper, and IN 250, which is our installer 2 with a focus on fiber, and then our top tier TE 350, which is the technician course. Each of them require 35 contact hours or seat time to complete. And that doesn't include the exam times or self-study time. So the exams are a 2-part exam. So that's made up of the hands-on portion and then a written portion. The hand-on portion can be taken the last day of class, and the written must be scheduled by the students after they successfully pass the hands-on. So those who are interested in taking the test, they have to submit an application online. So you can take our classes and not test at the end of it, you know, but most students, most people who come to our classes are there to gain the knowledge, to gain the skills, and to pass the test so they can have a certificate or certification. Another thing, you know, to mention is that the 101 class is not a certification class, it's a certificate class.
Okay.
That means that it expires after a 3-year registration period. Meanwhile, the others, the certification is good for 3 years, but it's renewable by submitting proof of taking additional ICT training to continue education. Someone can take that 1 or 2 or 3 certifications that they have, and they can carry it for their entire career. So it just needs to be renewed every 3 years.
Gotcha. Yeah. So if you look at, you know, the challenges we face with like COVID and like, you know, getting on site and doing in-person training, like how has that impacted you? Like developing the new program, has it been a blessing or a curse or kind of in the middle? Like what have you seen in terms of like virtual training versus, you know, in-person training?
So, so that's a great question. You know, when COVID-19 hit, it forced us to move to a virtual world. And that was something that surprisingly we were ready for. We had all of the content available and we were able to pivot to this virtual classes. Now, we don't offer all our classes virtually. At the beginning, we were only able to offer our IN 101, our installer 1, and then our IN 225, the installer 2 copper class virtually. And it was just like you said, it was more a blessing than anything. You know, we thought at first, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Right.
But in all reality, it was a great benefit, because we found that now students who may have been without work for a short amount of time or may have been unemployed, you know, were able to take these classes, and it's easier for someone to just join a virtual class than have to travel somewhere for a certain amount of time and pay all those additional expenses. So not only is it easier, it's more affordable also. Some of the other challenges that we came across was just gathering quality images of ICT components and their range of uses, you know, so, you know, that for some reason has always been a little bit of a challenge to us, just to get, you know, some usable images of how things are being done in the field. You know, I know that's something that Low Voltage Nation does a great job at. You know, I follow some of your social media pages, and I always see the excellent work that technicians are doing.
Yeah.
You know, but one thing that we're confident about is even with those challenges, you know, and having overcome those challenges, is that this new version of our installation program is absolutely the best yet.
Yeah, we try to get onto Instagram. That's heavy on the visual side. That's where Low Voltage Nation started. And yeah, we started doing stuff on LinkedIn. People like to post their stuff on LinkedIn, but the Facebook group is mostly cable fail photos. So that's if you want to see what not to do.
That's good.
It's a good healthy balance, I guess. But yeah, it's a very visual platform, Instagram especially. So yeah, so what are you hearing from students in the field? Are you keeping up with them? Are they giving some good feedback on the program, and like how are they, like what's going on in the field? Like what do you hear?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, students always want training. They always want formal training. They know that their job provides them with their with that you know, on the job training, right, or hands-on applications, but they always want formal training. Many of them are saying right now that they're super busy. There's a ton of work.
Yes,
You know, they're working on all different type of interesting ICT projects, both here in North America and internationally. But unfortunately, there's a shortage of qualified personnel. You know, the tech industry specifically has a higher than usual demand for quality workers with good training.
right.
So that's another benefit of our training. It's an attainable certification that can be acquired in a relative short amount of time. So it can position someone for more opportunities. You know, if you come to any one of our certification programs, we usually deliver it in a 5-day format. You know, so within a
Yeah.
week, You could potentially have a brand new certification.
Yeah, it's convincing the employer to take that lead tech out of the field to pay for it and also take them off of money generating product. I saw that a lot of times working for other companies where they're like, we can't stop, we can't train, we have to keep going. But in the long run, you just got to show the return on investment.
Absolutely. And that's where a lot of the virtual training has helped those employers and even those
Yeah, that's a
individuals.
good point. Yeah.
Yeah, we have many individuals who just pay their own way to take our classes. It's not only employer reimbursed or supported.
Yeah. So I feel that BICSI does a pretty good job of keeping up with the demand, keeping up with the new technology. So do you think that you guys are doing a pretty good job, and you're on your eighth revision of the program? So obviously you're revising stuff and keeping up with it to a certain extent.
Yeah, absolutely. With all the processes and procedures that we go through, we tend to put out a extremely thorough product. And as I mentioned, this eighth version is the best yet. Some of the things that we've done just to change it is a large effort made to increase learner interaction. So we want to make sure that students are engaged. We made sure we went through the revisions and the content and removed any outdated information and incorporated it with new information such as ADA requirements and updated terminology based on changes in international standards. We've addressed trends like wireless and PoE and modular plug terminated link testing for specialty systems. We've updated the feel of the course by adding new graphics, images, and videos. The activities have been updated to reinforce the core competencies that increase learner interaction. Also, the students' guides are a huge improvement. It used to be that the student guides were just supplemental to the course content. Now, each guide has a screenshot of each slide of the presentation. So a student would be able to just refer back to that and study at their own pace or use it as a reference, going back through, all of that information that they get to experience in class. So that was a huge improvement. Also, I'm not sure how much but we have a large global membership and it's continuing to grow. So with the new program, the JTA has removed references to specific codes and standards and has adopted more neutral language, such as cool. AHJ requirements, and local code requirements.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd also say, the biggest change that we see and a great benefit in trying to keep up with the need and the speed is our virtual trainings.
Yeah. That's going to be huge. We've got a lot of infrastructure to build, and the quicker we can train up, the better we'll be off. But right now we're hurting for technicians. So hopefully this will make an impact, and I think it will.
I think so. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, a few more questions before we wrap up. I'd like to ask as a technician, what are the tools your everyday carry? And then now you're not in the field right now, but what would you recommend somebody coming up? What should they carry?
Yeah, so I'll never forget, my everyday carry because I carried it for so many years, and it was typically just a tool pouch, a smaller tool pouch that I wore over on my right-hand side.
Yep.
I had my snips in it, my 10-in-1 screwdriver, a small tech driver, needle nose pliers, and a punch tool with a 110-66 combo blade.
Yep.
Nowadays it's just my cell phone.
That's usually the answer. It's either inside of the pouch or the cell phone, and sometimes it's both.
Right.
Yeah. So any words of wisdom before we wrap up? What can you bestow upon the younger generation?
I would say invest in yourself or never stop investing in yourself. The more that you take ownership of your knowledge and your skills, the more control you'll have over your career. I always say that there is a such thing as luck, and that just has to do with timing. But, to receive that luck, you have to position yourself to be able to be fortunate and receive those things by doing the right things. And just contributing in yourself is the best thing that you can do. Don't wait for an employer, to pay for your training. If you can make ways to pay your training. Yeah. And not only that, we live in a world nowadays where, like you said, there's so much resources available to us online. If anybody has any questions about the industry or our classes, come and see me or contact me or one of other training delivery specialists in class and learn the skills that you need to earn a credential or your next credential. It definitely is going to help you stay sharp and hone your craft, and it's going to make you invaluable.
Cool. Thank you for that. So BICSI.org is the best place to go to get all the information on the tech installation program, the revision 8. Any other resources we should be looking at right now, or any other information to?
So honestly, our website is a wealth of resources. Yeah. It truly is. Different times throughout the year, we'll offer some free online classes, so people can look out for that. Yeah. We offer downloadable guides and that completely explain our program. So if people are trying to determine which class they should take, or which experience level would fit them correctly, we have those available online for them to download. So a ton of resources on our website, no doubt about that.
Great. Yeah, I'll link to all of that, all the resources in the description, and
appreciate it.
All the different social platforms we're going to be posting this to. So Mark, thank you so much for sharing your story, your information, and the new program at BICSI. So thank you.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you. I appreciate it.